You know what is happening. There is no room for illusions, he realized, he understood, and now the truth haunts him. The trust that once existed is no longer the same. You are not who he thought you were, and this makes him uneasy. He observes, analyzes, judges, withdraws, and you experiment, question, wait, doubt. This scenario is not confusing. It is a reality that weakens. You call it intrigue, because facing the truth would be painful. Calling it discomfort avoids the need for action. What he discovered cannot be ignored. Fear grows because vulnerability is exposed. He controls the narrative while you seek validation. You don't need to understand what he feels, just accept it as it is. An unequal game. When someone sees, they act. When someone fears, they hesitate. When someone perceives the other's fragility, they retreat. This is clear. And the rest is just noise. If you feel that trust is slipping away, the truth is that a break has already occurred. If he uses silence as a weapon, the relationship has been unbalanced. You are not lost, you are aware. And being aware requires responsibility. The objective truth is this: nothing changes while he dominates the situation. As long as you remain available, the dynamic stays the same. You do not need more promises. You do not need more explanations. You need to decide if you will continue accepting this uncertainty. There will not be a comfortable ending here. There is only the moment when you step away. And this moment does not happen by chance. You know that he watches your every move. The tension in the air is palpable. He uses absence as a test. And you adapt, strive, try to understand, but nothing changes. Only your anguish increases. He enjoys the uncertainty. To him, it is just another game, and you wait for a change, long for a message, seek a sign. A small gesture that shows there is still interest. This never arrives. He returns to his world while you remain trapped in this cycle. The pattern repeats. You convince yourself that everything is fine. But reality is relentless. The connection turns into dependency, an emotional trap. When someone doesn't commit, this lack of presence becomes a burden. You feel the echo of silence, and it reverberates through your insecurities. If he wanted to, he would be present. If he cared, you wouldn't be waiting. Think of the moments when you gave yourself, the shared laughter, the promises made. Now, all of that dissolves into indifference. Conversations no longer have any flavor. Each encounter is a repetition, a worn-out script. You try to revive memories, create new scenarios, but the flame goes out. What you feel goes beyond passion. It's a desperation for meaning. And meanwhile, he simply watches. You spend energy trying to figure out what's behind this coldness. It becomes a vortex, sucking away your self-esteem. The truth is, you've become a reflection of your insecurities. You seek approval with every interaction. You wait for him to react, and when he doesn't, the doubt tightens its grip. The power he holds over you is almost tangible. And you accept it, ignore it, avoid confrontation. What if you decided not to be this shadow anymore? If you cut the ties that bind you to this empty expectation, this idea provokes deep fear, because what comes next? Loneliness? Absence? Among the shadows of your mind, an unsettling question emerges. What's left of you? In whose name did you forget yourself? He is not a savior. He is not the answer. And you no longer need to wait for something that will never come. You don't need more time. You don't need more justifications. What you need is to face reality in its raw form. His presence is made of absences. The gestures are rare, and those that exist sound like distant echoes. You wait, but the result is the same, an endless cycle. Allowing yourself to walk away takes courage. And you have that courage. This choice does not signify defeat. It signifies recognition. Recognition of what does not serve you, of what does not bring life, but rather takes it away. And while you hesitate, it proceeds with indifference. You might feel the urge to cling to what was, but what was is no more. The relationship does not sustain itself. He makes no effort to maintain it. The connection that once was has turned into an illusion, upheld by solitary expectations. Look at yourself. Look at what you want. Continuing in this game means accepting daily discomfort. There is no love that can withstand a constant lack of reciprocity. A one-sided love is a form of silent suffering. The cycle continues. He distances himself. You think about your messages. The clock ticks while you wait for a sign. Every day is the same. You try to distract yourself, but the memories invade. He's not there, and you feel empty. This feeling of abandonment does not need to be your reality. Do not perpetuate this narrative. Break the cycle. Be the cause of the change. What he does not offer becomes insignificant if you decide that your worth does not depend on him. There needs to be a breaking point, and only you can choose it. Do not fool yourself. The cost of staying is greater than you imagine. Love should not be a sacrifice. It should not be a forced choice. You deserve more than a thin line between presence and absence. The reality has already been presented, and now, without further ado, you decide to act. It is not about finding a comfortable ending. It is about finally stepping away from what no longer serves you. And in doing so, you realize you can fill this space with something new, something truly worthwhile. It is a delicate step, moving away from what once was. A mix of relief and fear interweaves. You ponder the memories that still burn in your mind. The laughter that once echoed now seems like distant echoes, shadows of what could be. This transition is more than just cutting ties. It's recalibrating your own identity. You feel the pressure from the outside world, the expectations of friends and family. They don't perceive what lies behind the wall you've built. Superficial conversations attempt to fill a void, but the words sound like an echo in an empty space. You live an internal struggle between the desire to share your truth and the urge to hide your fragility. Each meeting with friends brings out a painful longing for belonging. You hear stories of blossoming love, while yours seems to be rotting at the roots of uncertainty. Promises that once seemed solid now appear like paper, easily torn at the slightest touch. In the silence, you reflect. What is so attractive about this cycle? Is it the familiarity of the pain? The idea that one day he will recognize your worth? These thoughts become anchors, holding you in murky waters. And now a new perspective emerges. You begin to see yourself as an agent of change, no longer a passive spectator. Your worth is not defined by him. Every moment you spend waiting is a wasted opportunity. The future opens up before you, a vast desert, but also a blank canvas. The idea of freeing yourself from expectation brings a new kind of fear. His absence, which once seemed like a dark abyss, now transforms into a chance to rediscover parts of yourself that were suffocated. The struggle is not just against the pain of separation, but against the fear of the unknown. You envision freedom. It may seem terrifying, but when you look closer, you see that it is fertile ground, a chance to cultivate new connections, to explore your own passions without the shadow of doubt. Each small step is an act of rebellion against the inertia that once paralyzed you. Then another question arises. Who are you really, without the labels that were imposed, without the dependency that was created? Positioning yourself in your own narrative is a daily battle, but one worth fighting. You start to experiment with yourself in different ways. New habits, hobbies that were forgotten, and even the possibility of being open to new relationships. What does life have to offer beyond this emotional prison? You allowed someone else to define your worth for so long. Now it's your turn to rediscover who you are, regardless of what he thinks or does. You start to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I like? The answer doesn't come easily. There is a constant noise that tries to pull you back to old dynamics, but every time the inner voice of insecurity whispers, you remember the price you have already paid. The repetition of the same story has worn out your strength, and now the need to write a new chapter becomes urgent. Through these moments of introspection, you begin to recognize patterns. Every attempt he makes to come back, every sporadic contact, becomes a reminder of what no longer serves you. It's like a flashing red light, signaling that this road leads to a place you've already visited, a place of uncertainty and pain. He may even try to flip the situation, using charm and empty promises. But you are no longer the same person who was swayed by sweet words. Experience has shaped you. You have become stronger, more aware of your needs. The emotional plays that once trapped you now just sound like distant noises. You decide that your worth is intrinsic and doesn't depend on anyone else. There is power in understanding this, and this understanding transforms your perception. Realizing that you are worthy of respect, of true love, is not merely an affirmation. It is a reality that settles into your being. It will not be easy, but you refuse to feed something that only drains. While you walk on this new journey, it is no longer an escape, but a return to yourself. The weight of others' expectations begins to dissipate, and the horizon reveals possibilities you never imagined. Stay focused. The road won't always be clear, there will be tough days, But the decision to break the cycle is everything. You no longer need to seek a comfortable end. True freedom comes from the willingness to face discomfort. When you finally let go of the past, you will find a space where your essence can flourish. Reality has already been presented. And now, it is time to act. You feel the weight of memories, but also the lightness of the future. Transformation does not happen overnight. It's a process that requires patience and self-compassion, an emotional re-education that starts with small steps. Each time you reject the idea of returning to what was, you reaffirm your worth. With every conscious choice, a new layer of understanding unfolds. You begin to distinguish between what you were taught to want and what you truly desire. Society's expectations, family pressures, all those voices echoing in your mind begin to lose their strength. You realize that living for others never brought true satisfaction. The loneliness that once terrified you now offers a sacred space for reflection. In that silence, you reinvent your inner self. The memories of shared moments once filled with pain begin to transform into lessons of resilience. Each laugh, each tear, each broken promise becomes a brick in the construction of a new narrative, one that doesn't depend on anyone to exist. You reflect on your forgotten passions, the paintbrush that was kept at the bottom of the drawer, the book you always wanted to write, the music you dreamed of playing. These are parts of you that were suffocated under the weight of an unbalanced relationship. Now they begin to emerge one by one as you allow yourself to explore new interests. The act of rediscovery brings a wave of emotions. Sometimes it is intimidating, other times it is liberating. You find yourself facing mirrors, not just physical, but metaphorical. As you measure your evolution, you realize that you don't need to fit into the frames others have imposed. The beauty lies in the freedom to be who you truly are, without masks. But there are days when the echo of the past returns. When loneliness grips you once again, you remember your worth. This doesn't mean it will be easy, but you are already more prepared. Facing your fears has become a ritual of self-defense. Each negative thought that tries to invade your mind is confronted, analyzed, and finally rejected. You do not refuse to feel, but you learn to filter your experiences. He may come back into your life, and perhaps that will happen. But now you have a shield. Interactions will no longer be a battlefield. You will not fight for approval. Instead, you will observe. He will be an actor on your stage, not the protagonist of your story. If he apologizes, you will listen. If he makes promises, you will analyze them. But you won't let yourself be carried away. There is power in knowing you don't need him. This autonomy is what transforms. And every small step you take toward this new state of mind is like an invisible thread weaving a new future. Everyday life transforms as you commit to discovering who you truly are. You begin to replace old habits with new routines, meditation, exercise, arts. The practice becomes part of you. You strive to be the best version of yourself, and this creates a ripple effect. Your self-esteem increases. You see yourself as an active agent, no longer a shadow, and social interactions, they change. You gravitate toward friends who nurture your essence, who do not measure your value by what you possess or the company you keep. You choose to surround yourself with people who reflect your aspirations, who inspire you to grow. This becomes a vital aspect of your new life. Sometimes the fear of the unknown comes back to poke at your mind. What will happen if you don't succeed? What if loneliness becomes unbearable? But then you stop, and you remember that you've been there before. The feeling of abandonment is no longer a sentence, but an opportunity to dive into your own depth. The risk is greater in stagnation. Looking forward becomes a challenge. Freedom is appealing, but uncertainty is also uncharted territory. The future can be frightening, but it is also full of possibilities. You start dreaming again. You envision a future where your aspirations are not limited by others' expectations, a life where you don't wait for someone, but create your own path. Each step toward this future is an act of courage. It's not just about leaving the past behind. It is, in fact, a celebration of what you have become, a way to honor your journey, not as a burden, but as a springboard. True love is not an unbalanced exchange. It is a mutual commitment, and you refuse to settle for less. What he could offer will never be enough to extinguish the light that you are beginning to see in yourself. So, when facing these truths, you transform your relationship with yourself. Each day becomes a new beginning. Each action, a testimony of who you are. The reflection in the mirror now smiles back, and so you rise. no longer a spectator, but a creator of your own narrative. You know what you want, and that is everything. Reality has already been presented, and now you decisively move forward.